Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to this session of Role Model Rebels and our partner organization, European Women on Board. I'm very, very happy that I today can introduce 3 participants from this amazing organization. You will get to know them shortly, but before that, I'd like to introduce Role Model Rebels. Role Model Rebels was founded basically a year ago. We have more than 1,000 members in the meantime, and our goal is to become a think tank for mainly European women of all ages who are looking for role models on the one hand, so mentors, but on the other hand, also would like to get to know all the new developments, whether it is in new work or digital scalable business, etc., etc. And we are partnering with organizations, and one of our partner organizations is European Women on Board. I'm very, very happy that you are here today because it's really an amazing organization that gives training opportunities for European women to become board members. And 3 of them, our speakers, are here today. And I'll start to introduce, let's say, our star speaker today. This is Sylvia. Sylvia will give a short overview to all of us about European Women on Board. And afterwards, the 2 other speakers, Jitka from Prague and Stephanie from Germany, they then will also introduce themselves. Having said that, Sylvia, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Petra. In the meantime, I'm ready to get started with you. So thank you for having us today. Thank you also for advertising us basically as role models and maybe also as rebels, but I guess we'll get to that part as part of the panel discussion. Let me first quickly introduce myself. So I'm Sylvia. I'm wearing various different hats, as probably we all are. One is my volunteering commitment to European Women on Boards, which I'll tell you more about in a second. I'm one of the executive committee members. A second hat has the name of Unilever on it. This is because of my marketing and sales and general management career in a couple of European markets. There's a third hat which says World Economic Forum, as I'm a young global leader, which is a nice side comment on you are still young at the age of 40. I totally agree with that one. And of course, the most important hat is in my private life, as I'm the mom of a lovely 3-year-old. Now, on that note, I would like to give you a very short version of the story of European Women on Boards, or Ewob. It's a strong organization with the objective of achieving gender diversity in decision-making. An objective which I also guess that everyone in this call can sign up for. And I'm also very happy to today, we also have Hedwig, our chairwoman, and also Kristen, our CEO, on the call. And I'm sure if we have some questions popping up during the course of my presentation, they will be happy to also cover them later on. So who are we? What are we doing? European Women on Boards is a pan-European, Brussels-based organization, not for profit. It promotes gender equality in decision-making roles, C-suite and board, at the European level. Ewob was founded in 2013, basically on the premise that greater gender equality presents a true business opportunity. It's driving creativity, it's driving innovation, and it results in simply better decisions. Unfortunately, I guess most of us know that gender equality in the corporate leadership world is far from being a reality. Women represent only 35% of all board members and only 19% of all leaders at executive level. And only 7% of the 668 companies analyzed in our Gender Diversity Index in 2021 had a female CEO. And then on top of it, in any crisis, we also sadly know that equality does take some steps backwards. And that's why, of course, we are supporting the European Commission's target of 40% women at board level. Now, let's talk about solutions. One part of the solution is, of course, in creating the regulatory frameworks and the societal support that's needed. The other part is inspiring women to achieve their career aspirations, which of course sometimes also does require courage and some bold decisions. And I think therefore I would like to already say at this point in our discussion, let's work both on our inner confidence and also let's commit to encouraging and lifting each other up, because I know that we all need support, on some days more than on others. Now, let's go a bit further in terms of what exactly we are doing at European Women on Boards. I very much believe in partnership. I think partnership is really the new definition of leadership. And I think if we believe we can do something on our own, we're just not thinking big enough. And that's why the first pillar of our work is with partnerships, with like-hearted organizations from minimum 20 European countries, such as Role Model Rebels, as you already mentioned in the beginning, Petra. But also we are partnering with corporations, with executive search firms, and with EU institutions, which I think clearly sets us apart from most organizations in this space. The second pillar is all about carrying out research to measure gender diversity at decision-making level in European companies. Because of course we can be charmingly convincing in our pleas, but actually facts do matter. And it's also okay that this is the case. And then the third pillar, we offer development programs in order to build a pan-European talent pool of minimum 1,000 senior women. And it might actually be something that you also could be interested in terms of joining. Now, I thought for this session, it would be most valuable if I was to share with you a bit more on these 3 development programs. All of them are rooted in cross-country and experiential learning, and they come at rates that can be described as inclusive, something that Petra and myself just talked about. They are affordable, they are accessible for women across Europe, which really fits our approach of being an inclusive organization. The first program is the so-called C-level program. It's a 4-month course intended to support senior women leaders who have recently joined or who are preparing to join on a C-suite position. The second program is the Board Readiness Program, which is a 3-month course, and it's aiming at women who want to get on and who want to thrive on the board. And it's about building the critical and also the practical skills that are needed. It's a mix of soft and hard skills. And it's also the program that I'm personally right now attending, because I do think that boards need more diversity and that they need it now. And the third program, it's our cross-border mentoring program. This is a 1-year, one-on-one program where we are pairing senior women leaders with a mentor with highly individual goals and content. And I think it's a great opportunity to just get out of your own bubble and to share and discuss in a different setting. Now, I would say enough from my end in terms of framing and giving a bit of the context. I think that most of us probably love to have some kind of efficiency. So that's why you'll find here a big QR code. So if you want to have more information on European Women on Boards, it takes you directly to our website. If you will have follow-up questions, and I could maybe help you with these, feel free to use the small QR code, which takes you to my LinkedIn profile. And I'm happy to be in touch with you also, tomorrow or in the week to come. And you can also see the various social media channels that we are using. And last one, I'm also happy to hint at what's going to come next. So I'm super happy that I'm joined today by 2 role models, Ewob peers and friends, and maybe also rebels. One being Jitka, one being Stephanie. And I truly believe that we need to have these authentic and inspiring role models and role models without the super women cape. So I'm sure they will be sharing with us their authentic stories. Normally, Alicia would have also joined us, but she has a personal emergency to attend to, of course. So I'm also happy to chip in for questions, and our CEO, Kristen, will also do so for sure. That's it for the introductory part. I'll stop presenting and hand back over to you, Petra.
Yes, thank you very, very much, Sylvia, for this really impressive presentation. I like it very much, your 3 pillars. Sylvia, my question for you is like, what made you volunteer with Ewob and take on the leadership role for one committee?
I think there are lots of reasons to start like this. I think one was just the realization that if you can do more, why not do more, right? So I think in terms of gender diversity, gender equality, it was something that I've tried to push for a long period of time in my own team, in my own organization, helping launch local chapters for some other organizations. And then I thought, you know, it's really time to try to have some bigger impact. And I'm very much driven by impact, so it made a whole lot of sense. And then I just came across European Women on Boards, and I was lucky enough to reach out and to have a first conversation with both Hedwig and Kristen, and there was real good chemistry, and I could fully sign up for the mission and the objectives. And I think I was really intrigued by the variety of the enablers used in order to achieve the objectives. So I think you have on the one hand, true advocacy work with the EU institutions, with local institutions, which I find very interesting. And on the other hand, you also have the element of inspiring and enabling women. So I think it's really addressing both the supply and demand, which in the end can have an impact. And I think 2 more reasons. One, I do believe in getting out of your own bubble. And I very much enjoy coming together in a community that's European and that's global. And the second one, I think also now chairing a committee, this is a fantastic, it's a different leadership experience. It's not the same as in the corporate setting. So quite a few reasons, and that's why I'm happy to be part of the team.
Thank you, Sylvia. And I think also because people don't know who you are, also you already told a lot about.
Yeah.
Could you please introduce exactly what are you doing, your background a little bit, and then we hit over to, of course, the other 2 ladies, Jitka and Stephanie.
Sure. So I'm Austrian. I'm a mom of a 3-year-old. I've been with Unilever for 17 years, marketing, sales, general management, a couple of European countries. I love life, and I try to strive for progress. And I think I'm just really dedicated to what's happening in this space, and I'm truly happy to be with European Women on Boards. I'm happy to be with the World Economic Forum, and yeah, I'm happy to have 2 wonderful other role models on this call today, and I would happily just pass over to them so we get to know them.
Sure, Jitka from Prague.
Hello,
welcome.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate it very much. So briefly, well, my background, ladies, I saw there was no gentleman, so I'll call you ladies. Well, my story is from the switchboard to the boardroom. I started as a receptionist in 1984. And because I really liked my job in the former Czechoslovakia, in the socialist regime, and I spoke some English, I was receiving further offers. And that's how I continued my career. I'm very proud to have made it to HR directors, to board members, and now to a general manager in a male-dominated automotive industry. So that's me in a nutshell, from the switchboard to the boardroom.
Wonderful. It sounds like a real great career. But we have another one here. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Petra. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, actually, I'm professor of economics and I have been at universities for years now. But my interdisciplinary interest and also my will to apply my academic knowledge has opened me many doors. So this is why I, next to my university life, I also help executives to excel in their career by, for example, by applying game theory, which is the science of strategic decision making. So I help them to derive optimal decisions, for example, in negotiations.
This was I was just thinking about, you're working in the academia. Do you see any, let's say, help, support from European Women on Board for you and your role?
Last year I participated in the C-level program. So I'm always eager to learn and expose myself to new challenges, and I really liked it. So some thoughts on that maybe. So first, I liked the content of the C-level program a lot, so it helped me. So we had really highly relevant topics, I would say. Topics, digital disruption, the role of data, the skill set required for board positions, and we shared leadership stories and so on. Now, one thing, but what is typical to those kind of educational courses is that it's a kind of experience good, right? So that means you only know about the quality of the good after you've done it, and you only know if it fits you after you've done it. And this is actually why we're here to talk a bit about that and to reduce this problem for the C-level program. So in my case, it helped me a lot because I can directly apply some of the learnings from that course.
Very good, very good. Over to Sylvia. I do have a question, Sylvia. When you are taking on leadership roles like running this committee, etc., and also these young world leaders from the World Economic Forum, take me about what's your take on leadership? What type of leader are you?
That's a tricky question, assuming you want to have a short answer, but I'll try. I do believe that leadership is super personal, it's individual, and it's hard to categorize as right or wrong, and there's no blueprint. I really believe we need to have authenticity. We deserve authenticity for ourselves and for others. And I very much believe that leadership is about the others. It's not about me. And it starts basically with the question of, how can I support you? I think there is two things that have actually helped me better getting to know my own leadership style and developing it further, and they might be helpful for people on this call. One was really about discovering my own purpose, just understanding what's driving me, what's giving me energy, what's my calling, you could say. And the second bit was also just observing other leaders and noticing which leadership talks are resonating with me, to which leaders I'm drawn to. I think it can push you in the right direction. Now, as for myself, I'm super happy about this current redefinition of leadership that we're experiencing. So basically going from pure IQ leaders, only the brain, going to IQ and EQ leaders that are using their emotional intelligence. I think this is very true to myself. And one of my colleagues just 2 weeks ago said something nice and interesting. So why be afraid of bringing your heart to work? It's not like you need to leave your head at home. I thought that was very true. So I'm totally signing up for anything that could be called positive leadership, where it's all about creating a positive environment, where it's about being aware that positive energy is contagious, where you're giving the clarity in terms of what to achieve, why to achieve it, and how to achieve it, and then to focus on encouraging and empowering your team members. And I really believe we need to focus on the strengths of people. I think it needs to be strength-based leadership. This is what results in, this gives us the best results for both the individual development and the company development.
Well, thank you very much, Sylvia. This is a question that was supposed to be for Alicia, but once I heard what you were saying, Jitka, I think this is your question, because you said you were starting as a receptionist. So my question now, when you started your career, I assume you had no mentor or role model. Or how did you manage that without anyone? And I also assume that somebody maybe in your family told you, you stay as with your amazing career as a receptionist rather than just like aiming for higher. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Excellent question. Thank you very much for that. So first of all, let's start with the family. That's a very good hint. Yes, my mom would have probably loved me to stay as a receptionist or not to go to work at all, because I have a traditional mom. However, my father was my best role model, because he was a top position person who did not compromise his values at all. And he showed me a wonderful living example of whom I can be if I'm really convinced about it, and if I really go for it and don't compromise my values. So I didn't know it was called role model at that time, but it was definitely my dad. And then at work, well, no, we didn't have, in the 80s or 90s, we didn't have any mentors or buddies or role models. At least not in the former Czechoslovakia, it was not called like that. But I was very, very lucky, because immediately from day one, I worked for highly inspiring leaders, bosses. You know, all of them were just so inspiring and so knowledgeable, and giving me a good example that I was learning like a sponge, like young people do. So I took the full benefit of actually working for these great guys who shaped me. I think I still owe them, the first leaders in the 80s and 90s, the Norwegian company later on, and other business firms. I'm still in touch with them because I really thank them for giving me the best examples I could get. They were very hard on me, but for the good reason. And yeah, they were my living role models I was learning from. But that it has one prerequisite. One needs to want to learn, you know, and I was, yeah, in the former world we used to live in, I was very curious. So curiosity was also my driving power, curiosity and having the luck for working for those guys. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jitka. And also there is an order, I changed the order, Stephanie, because I think it's really interesting. You are working in a very male-dominated area. You are a professor for economics, so also where you be able to leverage from your personal network to progress your career, or how did you manage to become a professor of economics, which is quite still male-dominated?
Yeah, it is still male dominated. That is something that still surprises me, because we have so many women in the world. So how can that be? Absolutely right. So I did not leverage from my network, but I try to do this now, because I see how much better you can be, how much you can improve when you leverage from your network. So I got this job by just working hard in a male-dominated area. Okay, so that's it. Afterwards, I would say that wasn't the best way how to get there. I should have networked more and try to meet people, and but I didn't do that in the past. I also think, by the way, it's really difficult to have a mentor or something in your job, or I mean, if you have the job on the one hand side, but no role model within this area. So it's connected, right? If you don't find a role model or mentor in this area, that means you would have to change the job and to, but that's complicated, I would say. So I can only say, after I got this job by just working hard, why not leverage from your network? It absolutely makes sense, and it helps you to improve and to progress faster.
Yeah, no, what you were also saying is, and that kinds of coincidence with what we have seen so far, that especially when you are younger, you totally underestimate the importance of having a network and having a working network, and also maybe mentors. So thank you very much. What I would like to encourage you, and I haven't seen whether there are any questions in the chat, because I'm operating on one laptop and I have the Word and the Word and the screen, so I can't open another one. Andrea, is there anyone in the chat? If there are people in the chat, you can also ask questions. If not so far, I will go with another question for Jitka. And again, I think it's kind of impressive. I think you have a typical career. I would say you have done in socialist countries. I have seen several comparable people in China who made a career like this. So you already mentioned your father, but is there, did you experience situations in your career you would describe as life-changing? In what way?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There were such moments. The first life-changing moment was in 1998, when by coincidence, I became HR manager. As a typical lady, you know, I didn't study HR. I thought I'm not suitable. But in a big Norwegian company where I worked at that time, after mergers and acquisitions, the managing director came to me and he said, "Hey, Jitka, we grew big. And I think we need a full-time HR manager." It was a Friday. And he said, "Don't you want to do it as of Monday?" And as a typical woman, I said, "Oh, no, I cannot do it." While a man would, of course, grab this opportunity immediately. So my managing director was laughing at me and he said, "Come on, lady, you've been doing this already. You just don't know that it's called HR." So that's how I jumped into the role. I was Christian by fire, because within a half a year, I needed to dismiss a lot of people and I needed to deal with strong trade unions, but I loved that challenge. So it was extremely life-changing, because at that time I became the HR manager, and that profession follows me, or I follow the profession for many years from that point on. So that was first life-changing experience. And the second one was when I got offers to work abroad, and I learned how to follow my job wherever it is. And I started to live and work in different countries, and I discovered a totally different world out there. And I was like, wow, there's a different world out there. And I was so eager to explore and learn, because that was a totally new learning level for me. So yeah, that changed my life entirely, because I started to play at a different level. And that is also what brought me to Ewob 2 years ago as board director, and today as vice chair. And I'm very thankful for that.
No, very interesting. And also, I think it's very important what you're saying, how important it is to just go out of your bubble, to go out of your own country, to see other cultures, to see other companies, to see what's going on. And you already mentioned that, you know, you already said a man would have grabbed this job within a sec. And you had to think about it. So my question there, do you think that soft skills for women and men differ? Soft skills.
Yeah, I see your point. I hear your question. After all those years of having worked with both men and women, maybe the soft skills don't differ that much, but how we play with it differs a lot. Women actually like to use the soft skills, the EQ that Sylvia has mentioned. We use it. We use it naturally. It is okay for us to use it as a tool, as our natural, authentic approach to people. No problem, because it's natural for us. For men, it's more insight. They have this poker face or stone face, but I discover often that inside they have those soft skills as well. Some of them, of course, not all of them. So it's a way how we bring it out.
Thank you very much. There's someone who is just like crashing with paper or so. Maybe you can mute. I don't know who it was, but anyway. So I have a question. For Stephanie now. And again, if there are questions in the audience, please feel free to ask these questions. You know, when I listen to your background, what you were saying is, you know, what else do you need? Why did you decide to invest in further developing your skill sets for your personal career development? Isn't that something that people were saying, oh, I'm jealous, she's doing this, and she's a career woman, and she's doing even more instead of sitting at home and looking after her daughter? Why did you decide to invest in further developing your skill sets?
So yeah, it's somehow funny, because people think when you are a professor, you know already everything, but I can tell you, you don't. So there's always so much to learn. Why did I do that? Because I'm always eager to learn, and I always want to learn more. So also I would say that when you do those kind of educational courses, executive courses, so one side is also always that you want to absorb the content and to improve your skills and to improve whatever. Okay, so just to grow. But the other side is also that you want to show that you improve. And this is something that is offered by those kind of courses, right? Because for example, C-level program offers you a certificate after successful completion, which means that you can actually show that you invest into yourself. So this is actually a very good thing as well.
Yeah. Sorry, were you finished?
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you very much. What I do believe is important, at least for me, is you have, Sylvia, you have shown the programs. However, I think it would be very interesting for all of us to know which program did you choose, and of course, why. Of course, you already mentioned that, but why have you chosen this program, and what exactly did you learn there? So also know what exactly was trained there, and maybe you can answer this question.
I'll happily get started talking about the board readiness program, and then I will hand over to Jitka and Stephanie for the C-level program. Maybe it's a bit premature because I'm right in the middle of that program. Why did I go for it? Because I think adding a non-executive element to my executive career really makes a lot of sense. I think it will benefit actually my executive work. And I truly believe that we need to have this increased diversity on a board level. So, but I cannot just talk about it. I cannot just be an advocate at European Women on Boards, and actually I better show up for it myself. So that's why I thought I need to upskill myself. Also, as Stephanie was saying, I think it does matter that in the end you have something to prove and to show off, right? I think that's a valid element. I personally very much like training that is hands-on, that's very practical, that really offers you a chance to discuss with people who are in the know, also decision makers, for instance, when it comes to board positions, how they are being figured out, who's meant to take those roles. Have this intimate kind of conversation, which is all about what we're currently doing, and courses and work that's really not just teaching or reading, but actually inviting you to do the work, right? So there is homework, there's conversations with buddies, you're drafting your board CV. So it's really hands-on. It's not like you can just sit in there and be passive. You need to be active. And I think this is super important to have proper learning and proper outcomes. What I really enjoy about this setting is it is so cross-country, it is cross-company, it is cross-industry. My experience from any kind of training, yes, at Unilever, we do have great trainings, but in the end, you're just sitting in a classroom with the same kind of people, right? Now, coming to a European Women on Boards training, it is 40 women from all over Europe, even some from outside Europe, different backgrounds, all with the same like-heartedness, openness, authenticity, willingness to contribute. I think this is actually where a lot of the added value is being created.
And may I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Is these courses, are they paid by your company, or are you paying for these courses by yourself? And this is a question for all the others as well.
Yeah. So in my case, I think there's a mix. I think, of course, it totally makes sense always to pitch in to your company and see, you know, if they are willing to support you on a certain journey. Maybe if you're more like me and you're really trying to do quite a bit of training on the side, maybe that's then becoming too much for your employer to always pay for it. Plus, usually your employer will also offer coursework on their own. I just make the decision for myself that it's worthwhile to invest in myself, in my development, in my future. Of course, I also do the trade-offs. What is a good ratio? And as we said in the beginning, when it comes to those programs that we are offering at European Women on Boards, inclusivity, that's at the heart. We want to have trainings that are hands-on, provide added value, but do so at a rate that, you know, is affordable for women all across Europe. I think that's crucial. So for me, it's a mix.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Jitka, you joined another Ewob program in 2019. Can you tell us hands-on what you learned, what you could take out of this course? How was the training?
Okay, well, in 2019, I joined the C-level class. I was actually already at that time in probably the highest position in my career in an asset management firm in the Netherlands. But I wanted to learn as a matter of continuous learning, and I wanted to test the program because I wanted to bring it into the company where I worked for other women. But to your question, what did I learn? Well, first of all, I met a totally different network of impressive men and women with a different level of knowledge and wisdom. So I significantly increased my network, my professional network. Secondly, I learned actually a lot about automation and digitization, and that helped me at the board seat very much at that time in my company where I worked, because I felt like a true partner in the board for such discussions, and I was able to influence the board members, including the IT manager, to start an IT or technological transformation in a traditional asset management company. So that was probably my biggest takeaway. And secondly, it also helped, even I was already very senior at that time, it yet helped my confidence, because there are things you hear from others, you learn from others, new knowledge, reassurance. I came out again a much more confident person. So when I came back to the board meetings in The Hague in the Netherlands, my CEO asked me, "Where have you been? You're so different." So I think I felt more ready for discussions with different cultures we had at the table. I was more able to express my opinion in matters that concerned technology, concretely automation and digitization. That was extremely helpful. And I could tap into the new colleagues from the newly acquired professional network when I needed a follow-up meeting on a certain topic. So I brought new knowledge into the company through that network.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jitka. Stephanie, I think as you also finished one of the programs, also the C-level program, I think. Could you also tell us what you learned? What you do have an example how you could apply these learnings in your work situation? And I have a question later, but go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. So I participated in the C-level program last year. So the C-level program has just various workshops, as Itka mentioned already. And by the way, I paid for it by myself. So nobody else pays for my further development. So this is, I think, a problem when you look at universities. They sometimes do have some development programs, but not so much. Okay, so what did I learn and how did it help me to progress in my career? So I would say, so first of all, I have to say the network is absolutely incredible. So I wanted to stay in this network, and this is why I engaged for Ewob, because the people are just great. Okay, so it's just a wonderful network, and you can just learn so much from Ewob. Okay, so coming back to the C-level program, so content-wise, of course, so many aspects were covered that helped me to develop new ideas. And also, for example, one of the workshops was on customer centricity. And so it was called, I think, the customer data ecosystem. And that really helped me to, let's say, turn the learnings into some actionable insights by improving my strategic goals. But I also love to learn, similar to what Sylvia said, some more hands-on things. For example, how others approach case studies, the problem-solving strategies of others, how meetings are organized or group work. So that was really very helpful for me to see how others approach this.
Thank you very much, Sylvia, Stephanie, sorry. I am just like wondering, are you working together then with headhunting companies? Because you are all trained for these positions. I'm just like, maybe you can't answer this question.
No, we can. So yes, in terms of partnering, we're also working together with executive search firms.
Okay.
Of course, does make sense.
Yeah, because, you know, they are all looking for trained women like you. So I just have, of course, I think is there any question from the audience? Is there anyone? Andrea, have you seen, is there anyone from the audience?
I actually have a question.
Yes, whoever that is, please ask your question. I can't see it.
So it's I have one. So I'm Philippa. It's been very nice to listening to your stories and your enthusiasm. My question is particular to Jitka. What made you choose in the first place to go to the switchboard position?
Well, thank you. I saw your question in the chat. Well, it's a very simple story. It was in 1984, really long time ago. At that time in my country, not many people spoke English, and I did. So I received an offer from the British Embassy to work as a receptionist there. And I wanted to use English. I wanted to learn more English. So I took up the offer. And for me, the British Embassy at that time was a fascinating world, highly inspiring. So that was my motivation. I thought it would be a part-time job. That's what they said, from 9 to 1. And you never know. It turned out to be actually a lot more. So that was my reason.
And how did you make the move to the next role, if I can ask?
Yeah, I mean, the offers followed me. I have actually a belief that if you like your job, you are very good at it and everybody can see it. And every boss likes to have an employee who is good at the job, likes the job. And that was me. So when they see a receptionist that improved the mood of people in the embassy, that was curious and constantly learning, well, what can you wish more? So they offered me to go to another embassy and they offered me a full-time job. And then I made it to the business section. And when the business companies started to flood the new Czech Republic, I was asked to join the business companies, and that's how my business career started. So I was getting offers. So today I am telling people it's very much about attitude. Mostly the rest we can train.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, you are totally right. Also, again, you were in a kind of a lucky, unlucky situation, because social countries like in Czech Republic, they changed into democratic republics, and all of a sudden, beside Russian, you needed to speak English or French or whatsoever. So that was also a great opportunity for you, and that already leads me to basically, from my side, already the last question. I am a strong believer in lifelong learning. I do believe the day you're not curious, you're not interested in getting to know new skills, that's the day you can just like wave goodbye. Yeah. So my question now, you're all doing a lot for lifelong learning, not only to achieving new jobs, but also for yourself. And what would you tell, maybe in a nutshell, to your younger self or to younger people, why it is so important? Maybe we start with you, Sylvia.
Yeah, sure. Happy to do so. I think you already mentioned curiosity. Yeah? I think if you have a curious mindset, it's happening anyhow. I think the other bit is just on a more rational element. You need to keep learning in order to stay ahead of the game. I think it's just an absolute necessity. For example, what I'm doing currently is I'm just trying to do some learning on my own on the metaverse, trying to become an expert on a certain part of it, because actually it's fun, but I think it also will pay off for my further career. Maybe one attempt at giving an advice. I think it's about figuring out how you enjoy to learn, what works best for you. Maybe just because everybody is now listening to podcasts, but if you're not a person that really works well with listening, maybe you're just too impatient, for you it's better to do the reading, well, just go for the type of learning that really works for you.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. Stephanie?
What would I say to a younger me, or what would I say to Generation Z? Because I do have a lot of Generation Z people at university. So what I observe is that sometimes they invest in their look. They make their hair and their nails and everything, but they completely forget to invest into their brain. So I think you have these two possibilities, apart from being lazy. And sometimes people just forget that the time they waste while doing their nails or the hair can't be spent on, learning and growing yourself from inside. I think sometimes they are just not aware.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Jitka, do you also have to mention?
Definitely. I would build on what Sylvia has mentioned. I would even say, continuous learning is essential to stay in the game. Maybe that's a message to the more senior generation. I have experienced that young people learn fast still, but to the more experienced generation, I would say it's important to make our choices at a certain stage of our life. Do we want to switch life and live completely differently and leave business? Fine, fair, if it makes us happy. But if we want to stay in business, well, then we also need to continuously learn to stay in the game and be successful. For example, everybody knows, or I believe today, that diverse teams work best. Diverse teams means also young people on board. I had to learn like hell because young people on the team were pushing me, to think differently, to act differently, to allow different solutions. So also to be able to serve as a leader, a diverse team, including young people, I needed to continuously learn to be a different leader or new skills or new approach. So to me, actually, age is just a number because I see many young people who want to learn and who don't want to learn, like Stephanie has mentioned. I see a lot of experienced people who want to learn and who are very good at it and are fresh and fit for the game. And some senior people who give it up, but then I cannot keep them in the job because they have given up. It's impossible to say, I have worked here for 20 years, I know it all. Today, it doesn't work like that. And it's about hard knowledge and skills, and it's about soft approach as well. The home offices, flexible ways of working, manage the talent where it is. It's a lot of things we need to continuously learn. So that's why it's essential. And I've decided to stay in the game because I find business is extremely exciting, especially automotive these days. But it stretches me every day, but I like to be stretched. So you have to like it. It's my conclusion.
Yeah, you're totally right. I always loved going to school, for example, and also studying. What I think is what we have to change then, listen also to Stephanie was saying, just encourage people to let them know how exciting it is to learn for your whole life, how exciting it is. What you get to know new stuff, and not only, I don't know, in your video on TikTok or whatsoever, and that you are a master in just like creating films on TikTok or something like this. As you were saying, Sylvia, metaverse, for example. So we will be most probably having a short session of 3 courses on the metaverse. And this is done, by the way, also by one of our role models next year. And she's in this area and she has experienced something also very, very difficult because there's a new area and it's with no time. There are thousands of men experts in the metaverse. And, it's also a buzzword. What I see is if I listen to the younger people, very often they use all these words without really digging into it. What is it all about? Why are companies investing marketing budgets into the metaverse? And are there other places, not only Zuckerberg's place, etc., etc.? I think it's very, very important to do this lifelong learning. And what you also were saying, Sylvia, is also very important. You do it your way. And I think today we all have these opportunities. We can watch videos, we can read a book, we can listen to podcasts, and there's of course one thing you will learn you that fits for your personal taste. And having said that, from my side, there are no more questions. And is there any question from the audience there? So it doesn't look like. So, and having said that, what I would like you, first of all, thank you very, very much for joining us today. I think it's also important, we are partnering with the European Women on Board. What is important, we mentioned that in the beginning, there are thousands of organizations out there, but European Women on Board is a training that is affordable, even if you are coming from countries that are not so super rich. So you really can join this. And that's important. But also what I think is important from our side, we are also running super exciting master classes. As said, we are doing something on metaverse. We will be also doing something, and that might be of interest for maybe your students, Stephanie. we will be having a look into really new work and not blah, blah, blah. So what is someone doing who's working in ESG? What is actually not a job description with 1,000 buzzwords, but how does your day-to-day life looks like if you're working as a data scientist, et cetera, et cetera. So we will focus, we have a look at this, we will have a look at metaverse, et cetera. So we are focusing on new, exciting digital topics, automation, scalable, et cetera, et cetera. And then we do have this platform, which is 100% automated. Jitka mentioned it is called Hello Sophia and Role Model Rebels, which is basically a platform where you and I, we could talk, we could arrange meetings via our platform, Hello Sophia, and it's all done automated, it's all done online. So if a mentee and a mentor from our platform would like to talk to each other, or two mentees or two role models, they can do this without us being involved, because it's 100% automated. By the way, one of the winners of the European Union versus Virus Hackathon back in 2020. Having said that, I would say again, thank you very, very much for joining us today, wherever you are. I saw some people coming from far away. And I would say thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. And yeah, that's from my side.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Petra and Andrea. Thank you for
Bye-bye.
having us.
Bye. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful
Bye-bye.
evening.
Bye-bye.